Good evening, everyone. Today, I haven't brought you just one guest. I've brought you two, Cristian and Hector. So I'll hand it over to them now so they can introduce themselves a bit and tell us who they are, what they do in life, and then eventually get to our meeting and the journey we took together. Go ahead, guys.
All right, I'll start quickly. I'm Hector. And look, I worked as an employee for many years in various multinational companies. After this phase, I opened a small company that provides digital consulting in the Amazon market. And in the meantime, I had seen this interesting business of self-publishing. I haven't done very well so far because I took another course. Maybe I didn't understand some mechanisms. I spoke with Cristian a few months ago because we were exchanging some information, and he said to me, why don't we take a new course? In fact, he was the one who suggested it. Let's embark on a new path together. And from here we started, and there was the turning point. In short, that's the idea. Do you want to add something, Cristian?
Yes, look, like Hector. No, unlike Hector, I am still an employee. I ventured into the world of self-publishing more than 2 years ago. And evidently there was something I didn't understand anyway. I was not able to, I never managed to get started until I came across Richard's sponsored ad online where he was promoting this new path. So with Hector, we decided to first purchase a small package to start seeing how this new path was explained, because in our opinion, it is more of a path than a course. After that, we decided to purchase the complete package in November, and that was the beginning of the story.
Okay, so you both came from different backgrounds. You had both studied, but you hadn't achieved any results. In fact, negative results. More Amazon, less royalty, negative.
More ads, less royalty, exactly.
So then, indeed, you saw what was an ad, and then you joined my course. Therefore, I would like to ask you first, let's say, then we will get into the specifics of the type of work that was done. What differences did you find? And if you found any differences in technical terms from previous training to the one you did with me, with us?
In my opinion, the main point is that the business is explained in a much more direct way and services are not sold, but it is stated that this is a path where one can do what they want, whether to learn certain aspects themselves or delegate to others, like creating covers or other things. However, there is a basic concept that is at least much stronger than the previous preparation. You need to be the protagonist. You need to be the one who understands, who delves deep. Then later, as the business grows, you can delegate and so on, but you need to get hands-on. In my opinion, this is the first message where I really saw the difference.
Personally, I agree. I agree with everything Hector said, but what struck me the most is the strategic mindset that Richard explains, especially in the initial phase of this course, where he shows you how you need to think in order to publish. It's not that you have to publish so much, but there are strategies that lead you to a goal and help you achieve this goal. So this was the first switch we made, just how to deal with it. Simply how to deal with it when you open Amazon on your computer and look for a client. Already from there, the method, besides being much more concrete, is also strategically aimed in a perfect way.
Okay, I'll briefly touch on what Hector said, then we'll go a bit more in depth on what Cristian said. So, for those who are following us and are less familiar, what is the point? For example, at this point in my journey, I do not reference any type of service. For what reason? Because I use them myself and a true publisher does not use them, because they obviously aim to optimize costs and do not use companies that subcontract to freelancers and then resell to you at triple the price. So if I don't use them, why should I suggest them to my students? I need to explain to you what you actually need to earn and to earn as much as possible, which also means making the same products by investing a third, a quarter. So unfortunately, the problem with these courses that obviously reference various services is that there is a conflict of interest. It's somewhat antagonistic. On one hand, there is the desire to help the student and guide them on what to do. But on the other hand, there is the push to sell the service, and these do not align. So it is essential for those who follow us to be guided by someone who actually shows the path they themselves have taken, the best path that will help you achieve your goals. I have never used high-priced services. They are not necessary. Guys, we used freelancers optimizing costs. And of course, this reflected on our firepower, how many projects one can undertake, and the kind of reasoning that forms the basis. Regarding what Cristian was saying, maybe we can go a bit more into detail. So, what differences did you find? Let's start with the keywords and then go through all the steps where you might have found differences, where you were making mistakes before, things you were seeing incorrectly.
My approach is mainly not so much about searching for keywords, because I always had some problems with that at the beginning. But once you understand and start to grasp profitability and so on, you find them. But above all, the concrete and systematic way of searching for keywords in the shortest possible time, and thus automating this process quickly. So in a short time, you manage to gather various data, and from there you start to create a publication plan.
Organized over the months to achieve stability.
Organized over the months, but especially by making, as you say, sniper shots. This was personally the thing that didn't come through. Do you know anything? Perhaps you could provide more details about sniper shots. Yes, we were fortunate, but with determination and perseverance, the help of this fantastic course, and Richard and Giuseppe, whom we almost stalked with the flood of information we asked them for, we managed to, yes, we succeeded.
We managed to do it, AE, if, in my opinion, there is also a difference in the covers, in the sense that the approach to the cover is very direct, clear, meaning it makes you understand that it is part of a tool for your success. So you have to study it, compare it, and not make the mistake of falling in love with the cover. Because if that cover doesn't deliver the result, it's useless. And here too, it's pointless to go to the big services they offer. We found a freelancer who makes the cover for me in 2 days. It is one. Another time, however, I was working with another agency or previous freelancer who was less organized, and it took me 30 days to get something that when I showed it to Giuseppe, he would say, no, look. And there, change it. You too. You had to change your successful book 3 or 4 times. I mean, small tweaks, but clearly that also makes up 50%. The cover certainly makes up 50%.
So for that book of ours, we went from elite covers, as they are called, to a custom cover made for our client by a fantastic freelancer, and it took off from there. From the elite packages to a targeted cover made by a simple freelancer from Periscope. How much did you pay for this cover? $50.
Why is this? Because the important thing is to actually have the right criteria needed to create a cover that sells. I mean, it's not the beautiful cover seen on a big screen. Leaving aside the fact that beauty is subjective, right? For me, it can be beautiful, but for someone else, it might not be. Actually, a cover that converts, but you need to understand how to create it. So you need to do a serious market analysis and understand what makes it convert, what makes the book sell. So there you can delegate it to a freelancer or whoever you like. We always have guys who also work with Photoshop and do the conversions. Why? Because they know how to differentiate themselves, which doesn't mean just randomly saying, differentiate yourself. Everyone does it in white. You differentiate without having clear guidelines, but understanding where the pattern to analyze, the colors, where this cover is seen.
But then, above all, I personally realized that I was really bad, even at just putting down the information in the brief to send to the freelance of the situation. That's where I learned a lot. Because, yes, as you explain very well in your course, it is true that you have to rely on others, but you have to rely on them from the perspective of graphic competence. In other words, he is good at generating traffic and creates the image because he knows how to do it. But you have to provide the input for the image, how it should be, where it should be, and everything else. While I tell you, maybe a bit naive, or perhaps because I didn't fully understand, I don't know. I tended. Now I say delegate, but it's not really delegating, in the sense that you are the graphic designer, you are the expert, do everything. I tell you, look, I want it like this, you do it. No, it's not like that. It's not really like that because it won't sell if you don't give it the right inputs. So I found it very, very, very interesting. And it also helped me in the way I communicate with graphic designers as well as freelancers for the book season.
Let's say this is a mistake that many, especially novices, fall into because, first of all, a complexity is created, meaning you are not actually told what you need to do to create a cover that converts. So the criteria. Complexity is created, so you say, but I work, I am an employee, I have never sold a book. I mean, what do I know? The graphic designer will know more. But the graphic designer is not a publisher. They are paid anywhere from $30 to $180 to make the cover. So their business is selling you the cover. Once he has sold it to you, he is happy. He doesn't go on to do market analysis or understand what actually needs to be done. And the problem is that here you are delegating responsibility, and the cover, as we have seen, is the fundamental part. Cover and ads. I would say you are practically delegating 80% of your business. So it is really something where you need to take responsibility, understand how to do things, make mistakes if necessary, because obviously even Grisel made changes, made modifications. It wasn't just boom like that until reaching the point where the books took off. So first of all, delegate, but never delegate the responsibility. Instead, truly understand what needs to be done and then communicate with the freelancers. I'm glad you resolved this unnecessary complexity that you might have had in mind.
Exactly.
I always end up talking to freelancer suppliers. I'm going to address this for a moment because I see that many people write, Richard, but this buyer persona, what could it ever be? And these book briefs, because I see them really struggling. Okay, so I would like to bring clarity, and I would like you to deserve to bring clarity as well. How did you see this whole side?
But what about the buyer persona? It seemed that from other courses, it was necessary to do something almost at the level of presenting a marketing plan for a multinational company. Actually, the buyer persona, I repeat, then it depends on the topic, is also, in quotes, quite simple. So it is clear that you need to think about that type of market, how to approach it. And from there, you can also identify fundamentally a bit from the reviews. You also need to approach it with some curiosity, and even with also not even there do I have to find the super specialized agency and delegate everything. No, because if you are writing a book on a certain category of topic, who will be the right person? They will be the ones who will be the ones. They will have that problem and will want to find a solution for it. Understood. Cristian, even when he made his book, it was already well targeted. And the audience was the same. Or in any case, I repeat, the buyer persona was quite simplified.
Unfortunately, it comes back to the issue of complexity, right? Complexity is created. And so people say, I won't do it. I don't know how to do it. I won't do it right. I'll delegate it to service X, which for me is just a waste of time and money. Given that the buyer persona is a really simple concept, we must not forget what we are actually doing. We are selling books, not some elaborate business plan for a multinational company.
No, also because, as you say, Richard, most of the information is there right in front of you. You just have to read it. And gradually you realize that you can read, because at the beginning, there are so many things that are so obvious that at first they are so obvious that they don't perceive them. Wait, they don't perceive them in their lives. But most of the information is there. Then yes, you might do a deeper research on the core rather than, but the information to get started is all there. It's highlighted.
Absolutely, indeed, yes.
Book brief side.
Well, in fact, we do have, yes, apart from that second one, we have now achieved results, even just by reviving the ones we have already published. Now we have started on an editorial plan that we are scheduling. So the briefing to get the book written was actually just a bit consultative. The second one brought the significant result. But even there, when you do the some briefing, you already look at it differently, because when you have done an analysis, when you have already better identified your market, in the end, you also do a briefing. Lately, I have been discussing artificial intelligence. We haven't used it yet to write a book, also because it has its risks, but it definitely helps a lot for doing analyses, briefings, and presenting it in a certain way. So I invite all publishers to take a look and learn how to use it. Then obviously you can't delegate the task of writing a book to artificial intelligence, otherwise you'll get banned within a few minutes.
For what it can help, absolutely yes. By the way, Hector gave me a great idea here. He told me that you have revived what you did previously that did not bring results. This is a point I emphasize a lot. In fact, there is even a module in the course called Lazarus, Rise and Sell. And I see many publishers writing to me saying, look, Richard, I made 10 books, 5 books. They haven't sold. I'm looking for new keywords. So they see it a bit like a roulette, right? I mean, I just shoot the book out there. If it sells well, if it doesn't sell, I move on to the next one. This is the most wrong approach there is. Why? Because, first of all, you haven't understood the mistakes you made previously. So you go and invest more money. But given the previous results, it's unlikely that you will do much better. So I would like to reflect with you on how important it is to understand the mistakes made previously and why a book did not work, did not sell, and to fix it and bring it to sell to achieve the results that you have obtained, right? So what kind of confidence does this give you as a publisher? I mean, how do you feel when you say, okay, that didn't work? I fixed it. So the book isn't a hit, but it sells because of what I did. Therefore, the next ones will sell because of what I will do. I wanted to get your opinion on this.
That is, in my opinion, the most beautiful satisfaction. Then, I repeat, we are at the beginning of this great journey, and therefore, we do not yet have all the experiences of seasoned publishers, but the satisfaction, this book of ours that made a big hit, and it was a book that maybe sold 1 copy a day, but with the ads, we were always in the red. Every time I talk to Hector, there's that one that's selling. Why isn't ours selling? Why isn't ours selling? I kept going. I had become almost obsessed until I told myself to stop because I couldn't let myself get obsessed. No, I have to understand why. And so that is the satisfaction. Personally, it is the greatest satisfaction because we reached the top of the niche with that book, which had never been there for months.
This is the right approach. It is indeed the right approach. I mean, if the other guy sells, who is a publisher, I mean, with the same skills as us, with 2 arms, 2 legs, a cover made by a freelancer and probably 200 reviews or some, if he sells. Why don't we? There are variables to consider that mathematics helps us with here. And by adjusting one thing and then another, removing one and adding another, sooner or later, we find the solution and start selling. So yes, that is the most satisfying part. What do you think?
No, but then I think it's also a matter of perspective. I mean, in other situations, one might say, well, I did this thing, I'm somewhat satisfied, and just go on like that. Instead, no, you should always aim for that in that category that achieves the result and asks, why not me? Or how much can I achieve it? Then it is clear that if it is a publisher who has perhaps established a line, has been around for a while, and also works with influences from outside, etc., you might not reach the same level, but you can get close. Instead, in a previous phase before starting this journey, we were somewhat like, well, this didn't work out, let's just let it go. Actually, that's not true. Also because we had done an analysis of the keywords beforehand. It's not like we chose completely dead keywords. They were all markets that were still functioning. However, you need to aim high to achieve a certain result, absolutely.
You have to be number one. I watched that lesson by Richard so many times. That book had to succeed. It had to succeed. And in the end, did it excite you? Yes, yes. No, because that part really struck me when you explained it. When I dive into a niche, I aim to be number one. If I have to compete with someone like me, why can't I be number one?
With equal weapons, of course. With equal weapons, 100,000 sales from 100,000 attentions. And well, it's not like I have men of every power, but if we can go there, I mean, we have to become. The speech that I liked from Cristian before the obsessiveness, I really like it. It's something I strongly believe in, that is, when you become obsessive about anything and you fixate on it and go, continue. I mean, you get there, right? I am almost certain that the other publisher is on par with me, but he doesn't have my obsessiveness. He doesn't have my fixation. He doesn't have my desire to be number one. So I am sure I will win. Also, the talks about competition, which many mention, but is there competition? There is no competition. For me, in my opinion, there is none. If you have a certain type, a certain kind of mindset, and obviously then it's not just words, but you reflect it in the actions you take every day. Let's say these are the speeches.
Of course, you need to be careful if the competitor is someone who took the same course as you, because then it becomes more of a mess. If it's a publisher coming from other paths, it's all good. But if they come from this one, you think, oh my, the challenge is indeed definitely even more exciting.
Because then you can start playing around with other considerations, like the cover, the title, what can I do? Maybe I can optimize. I can get more royalties or play more with the ads. There are many things to play with to win. So it definitely takes you to another level. And then with all the other keywords you find where maybe there isn't someone from my course.
Exactly, go. Easy.
Exactly. So let's move on to the next step, which is the Achilles heel for all of us, publishers. Right. Have you noticed any differences from before to after, from the training in progress to now? Has the process been streamlined for you? Is it clearer? Do you have a better understanding? How are you finding it?
I tell you that I thought I had understood them, more or less, but I realized that I hadn't understood anything with your course. Even today, the success rate is still high because it is 30%, but I am starting to understand how to use them, how Amazon's algorithm works, these things here. And so it is fantastic as explained on a theoretical and practical level.
Did you find different strategies?
Yes, on which data to look at, which data don't matter. Don't look at them because they are no longer as relevant as before, but focus on other things.
We can say that ACOS doesn't matter at all. Indeed, ACOS doesn't matter at all.
How beautiful. So it's fantastic because everything is explained really well. As I say, it's foolproof because you can't not understand. It's not a bad way to put it, because in the sense, if you understand it, I mean, you hit, kiss, explained perfectly from a theoretical point of view, but especially the practical side that confirms the theoretical. We are very happy. I don't see the point in always trying to improve with others.
Then even the control system, schematized and done with a certain criterion, changes you because you start to think about it. Really, the tasks were the three things to do. Then there was that whole concept of 1,000 keywords, and you would spend half the afternoon just looking at the ones that were useless. Instead, today, there is a much more targeted strategy and, above all, a control phase. If you have done this, you will need to do that. I won't hide from you that we haven't optimized everything perfectly yet, but we are aware that there is still room for improvement. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, we are really fans, let's say, of work organization. And from here, we can move on to the next point, right? You see, even there, how important it was for you to have, let's say, the COBA, right? This is our file for managing and optimizing ads, to really understand the data, how it is, how it isn't, and all the other management files, right?
We'll talk about those later, but it's really a way to look at, read the data, and understand what to do that takes very little time. Maybe the first time it takes you an extra half hour, but as you get the hang of it, you realize it takes up very little time. It's not that it doesn't take any time, because you still have to keep an eye on it. You have to watch, but it takes less time, and you can use that time to do many other things that you couldn't before. I then dedicate myself to publishing, always in the evening, because I work until 9 p.m. I do the publishing from 9 p.m. to midnight, from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. every night. You understand that? Maybe before I would spend 3 hours on it, not understanding anything. Then I was tired. I couldn't do the other thing, so I would postpone it. Postponing today, postponing tomorrow. The weeks went by, so it's fantastic. You manage to optimize your time, and you manage to do different things to move the business forward. This is, yes, absolutely.
I am also a fan of the idea, let's say, of doing in 1 hour what you can do in 3, because regardless, you either get ahead or you enjoy the time, right? It's not good to waste time. So to avoid wasting time, you need to optimize your work and organize it in such a way that you are effective, meaning you work for an hour, but achieve a lot. That's the point. From here, we then connect to the whole matter of the other files you have used, thus managing the accounting. And here is non-business publishing. Business is based on numbers, even today. And I assure you, this is the vast majority. I hear people who write to me and I ask them, do you at least have accounting? Do you know how much you have invested? No. Do you know how much you have earned? No. Are you in the red? Are you in the black? How do you manage there? First of all, it's a company, and you, obviously, need to know accounting. Secondly, where to optimize. We have created a file that allows you to optimize. So you made 100,000, you spent 50, good job. But maybe you could have made 100,000 and spent 30 by optimizing. But if you don't know, if you don't see where every cent you spent went, how can you do such a job? So I wanted to ask you how you managed with all the other management and organizational files. Is there one in particular that helped you, that made your work much easier?
Well, personally, I tell you, keep track of the performance of the books, costs, and profits on a weekly basis, and also track daily expenses, even just the cost to make the product, in addition to advertising expenses. Always keep the situation under control so you realize where you are. I realized where I needed to improve, where I was making mistakes. So I needed to spend a bit more time on those things instead of moving forward. So, in my opinion, that is a fundamental thing. How do you say it? It's a business. You have it in your hands. How are you? You have a company. So you need to know how much you spend, where you can spend less here, maybe more there. And that, in my opinion, was really something that I honestly would never have thought about, because yes, you publish, you find the kiosk, Okay. This month I put in money. Well, I spent 100 or maybe I earned 150, but then you don't really look at where you spent and maybe those expenses could have been avoided. So in terms of optimization, it has personally helped me a lot.
And then you can't make a plan. You can't know when it will arrive, when you can reinvest, when you need to hold on to the pieces, when you can take a break, because we're not doing it for glory. I mean, especially
If they cut off your wings, because the first few times I was getting there like that too, I didn't realize it. So hold on a moment. Let's think things through carefully. In my opinion, this is how you should tackle these kinds of problems. You can't go to the Casacha. It's not possible. But all the management files are very interesting and very important.
Yes, it shows that it must be a professional approach. There's no other way, because if you don't keep it under control, you end up without a direction. You can't even chart a course. So absolutely not.
unfortunately, many people think that because it's an online business, it doesn't follow the same logic as a physical business. For example, a director at a company keeps the accounting or probably pays a dedicated person to handle it. So accounting matters. It's not like we can just do it randomly like Steph Papi.
Yes, absolutely.
This is, let's say, one of the management files. Then there are many other areas, such as ad optimization that we mentioned, organization of reviews, because even there, but today I have 2 days of free promo. Tomorrow I'll do 3.
That part of the course, honestly, I always talk about it with Hector. It's just the way to handle the review process. This is a perfect strategy. And taken for granted, I don't know. I launched the book. You have 2 days of free promo, 3 days, maybe keep 2 for the next one. But it's not like that. It shouldn't be done that way. There is a whole strategy to optimize that process as well. Hats off to this course. Hats off to you, Giuseppe.
Thank you very much. We have discussed the differences a bit. Now for the more curious ones, let's explain the kind of path you have taken. Then we will obviously talk about your results, which will be there for everyone. The most bitter part, of course, how we suffer. Okay, we will get to that. So, Cristian and Hector have embarked on this journey, the KDP Infinity, a goal-oriented project. They trusted us, of course. And how is this journey structured? It is structured with unlimited consultations. Maybe once a week, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, depending on the workload. Okay? So unlimited consultations until the goal is reached. There is a private support group on Telegram, directly with me and Giuseppe. So for any doubts, anything at all. Obviously, we work together, so we need to discuss things. Whatever is done is talked about on Telegram, it's sent, and the cover is checked. Why? Because everything is done together, from keyword research, to choosing the keyword, to checking old books, to see if they have the potential to be relaunched, creating covers, creating the brief, launching ads, and optimizing ads. So we work all together, and we work organized on Google Drive folders, always with the idea of working in an orderly manner, as we mentioned earlier. This way, everything is organized on Google with all the management tools filled out so that we could monitor every euro coming in and every euro going out step by step, precisely to reach the goal, to guide them to the goal as quickly as possible. So I wanted to ask you what difference it made for you to have, or in your opinion, to have a path like this, a support like this.
All the difference in the world. All the difference in the world, because you can't not understand. I mean, you might still make mistakes or misinterpret, but as soon as you start going the wrong way, you are immediately corrected and explained why your reasoning was wrong. So you are always on track automatically. You can't go wrong because you have a course to follow, and then you become more and more aware of why you are being told to do it this way. Share more and more things so that it becomes natural for you. Maybe not, but at least you know what to do. So it makes all the difference personally, but also for Hector, I believe you can ask him. It makes all the difference in the world. Then endless consultations until the achievement I mentioned. I had never I mean, I didn't think this existed. So really hats off to you.
In my opinion, the difference, one of the main differences is precisely the method. When you have such direct coaching and go into specifics, because clearly you are not starting exactly from scratch, but already have some experience. It is different from just studying the lesson and then restudying it. Here you really get to the point. I mean, you clear up that doubt, maybe that thing you hadn't understood that you were interpreting in another way, but you clear it up in an instant. But you remove it with a reasoning that you then carry with you and can use on your own in all other situations. This really makes a difference. And then there's also a bit of a motivational aspect because it's clear that you're there, you want to achieve a result, and there's someone accompanying you. And the difference is immense, infinitely.
As Hector was saying, the important thing is to do things together and then be able to replicate those thoughts, those things, meaning that the focus of the journey is indeed to bring you to the goal, but also to ensure that during the journey you understand everything, internalize the working methods, the processes, so that you can then be independent, truly understand how to do things, that is, to make a publisher who continues on their own, and that is the fundamental part. Then certainly on a psychological level, it obviously provides great support because at the beginning you wonder how it will go, if it will go well, if it will not go well, if it is just. Instead, knowing that there is someone who has achieved significant numbers, who takes you by the hand, definitely helps you on a psychological level, I think. And then let's say something that Cristian mentioned he had never seen before. I specifically wanted to launch it in this way. One, let's say, strong in terms of security and competence, because you have to be sure of what you're doing. Otherwise, you can't do something like this. On the other hand, I like the fact that it starts, let's say, how to put it, if you can say that the effort is on both sides. Meaning it's not just the student who gives me 2,000 euros, 3,000 euros, I do 6 calls. And then if he gets the result, great. If he doesn't, it's still fine because it's the law. It's Pareto's principle. It's a mindset problem. Then they sell you something else. I hope it's not a service discussion. Do they trust you? Yes. However, you reciprocate that trust with endless consulting until you help them reach their goal. That's when the trainer really starts to work well because the interest is mutual. My interest is to help. In this case, Cristian and Hector reach the goal as soon as possible. And therefore, for example, I can't make them spend money angrily on useless services because they need to optimize the budget to do things properly. So let's say this is a bit of a novelty since you said you had never seen it, something I had to bring because I think it's necessary. When someone trusts you, especially someone who wants to change their life and perhaps make sacrifices, right? Because I imagine you made some sacrifices to access the course, right?
Sure.
Coming from a normal life as an employee with 2 children, you make sacrifices. So taking full responsibility for those who trust you really means helping them achieve their desire to change their life.
In my view, no. But in fact, the difference is that with this concept, the coach becomes a personal trainer, meaning someone who has to lead you to that result. I mean, if you go to a gym and pay for a personal trainer, they have to get you results. It's not like you start and then gain weight, ending up fatter than before. No, they get you results. In other situations, it's a bit like when you go to the doctor, well, let's see, do this, and then we'll get in touch. That is a different approach. Here, instead, there is someone who trains with you, meaning they make you train, while also training themselves, because they obviously need to lead you to success. Absolutely. This is the difference.
Absolutely agree. So let's get to the main point. So Cristian and Hector joined the course. What was it?
November.
So you started. So the first phase of studying the course, how long did it last? Did you devour it?
Approximately a few weeks.
Can we say that the actual work on the call starts from mid-November?
At the very end of the month of November, during the final days,
So we buckle down in December. And what happens? In January, we surpass the goal we had set for ourselves.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about your experience. How did it go in terms of numbers and feelings?
Hector, you speak, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So in the meantime, right, to emphasize, we clearly have two separate accounts. So it was mainly Cristian who started because those were the books we had identified. He was a bit ahead in changing the cover, so we were already ready. And we started with the Italian market, thinking that maybe there was a bit less risk and we could also manage better with the language proficiency, etc., to focus more. In the meantime, I was working, and I'm still working now on the launch phase. And then Cristian, together, we targeted the Italian market, and some results came out that Cristian can now reveal.
We are happy because we have started, but I will tell you very clearly, I had this since I spoke English quite well many years ago. Then I stopped speaking it. I said I want to eliminate. Maybe it was a weakness of mine. I want to try to eliminate any problem in language comprehension because at least I can understand when I receive the various subtitles or descriptions. I try to understand the dynamics of this business well. I try to see a bit how others do it. I started for this reason, and I decided together with Hector to start in the Italian market. In December, we made 500 euros, but with the Azera, we were around 500 euros in royalties. And with the Azera, I made maybe 300 euros. However, in the meantime, we kept working on the Y. The book, however, did have some problems. Then in January, it took off. The magic, the other season in December, and we in Italy did it in January. And it's great because you sit, and then all of a sudden you see the numbers starting to come in, and you say to yourself, damn, it's working. It means I managed to do this rather than that. So it was fantastic. And it's just the beginning. So we're on a roll.
Hoping that you truly understand, because that's the beauty of it. When the book doesn't sell and you work, boom, it explodes, as we said before. So it gives you a great understanding. So basically, the calls start at the end of November, so early December, a month of work. December ends with $300, and in January, the goal is exceeded. So how did January go in terms of numbers?
In January, yes, a book we relaunched made 7,000 euros, and the other book made 2,000 euros. So we reached 9,800 euros in royalties with 2,500 euros in ads. So almost around 7,000 net with two books. We are very satisfied. Let's recap. In a year and a half, I saw 200 euros, actually less, because it was more than 200 euros and 1,000. No, I mean, and 1,300 in ads. So at the beginning, we didn't have the right approaches, the right information.
The potential was there. I like to see the potential in people brought out, because if a person manages to earn like that, it means they have the potential. Obviously, something was missing, either the right information, the way of working, or something else. But you can see it taking off like this, and I am sure this is just the beginning. And now, the fun will start. However, guys, growth can start, meaning you can go from $500 in December to 10K in January. That is with 7,000 bucks.
With two books on the Italian market.
Two books.
On those books.
This is the sniper shot speech. So the right keyword, the right programming, understanding how to do things. And these are the results that come out. There is still the fateful question, but with how many books? With how many books, guys? 2 are enough. 2 well-done ones are enough, and you can make 7,000 euros. Now, I know that it creates an employee. I don't know how much it lends, but I have never seen 7,000 euros. Unless you are a manager of a multinational company that is with 2 kids, I am extremely happy with the results you have achieved. I am proud of you, and I want you guys to take Cristian and Hector as examples as well. Why? Because the tools, we provided the tools, but they put in the work, they put in the effort, and these are the results that came out. As I mentioned earlier, the obsessiveness. When there is someone like Cristian who sits there and becomes obsessed, why not? And why not mine? And why not mine? Then the results come. It's just a matter of understanding, playing with the variables until the desired results indeed arrive. So I am extremely happy, and I have the opportunity to congratulate both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Cristian, I would say if you can show us this thing you put up, which sends the transparency, yes, listen. And you need to show Angelo from the Donaz Association first.
You need to enable me. We'll hide it. Everyone will want to know about these books.
Don't worry, we'll obscure everything later, so everyone will want to know what these 2 bruises are, what these 2 bruises are.
Why do open windows appear on mine?
So is this today, right now?
This is today. This one is the one that exploded. So let's go straight to, do you want to do the previous month? Yes, but I wanted to do, I am only putting it because the others are all works done and redone.
See the various different public covers. All right, customize solutions also.
The previous month should be,
Yes, even with the previous month.
sorry, yes.
The previous month? Why didn't he take it for me? The current month, the previous month?
Here it is. Indeed. Here we are, right?
9708. 2 books, see? 2 books.
2nd month of working together.
2nd month of working together. Now I'll show you.
The axes that represent transparency, which are crucial for understanding the data, can obviously be seen quite clearly. These axes provide a visual representation that helps in comprehending the transparency levels effectively. By examining these axes, one can gain a deeper insight into the transparency levels present in the data. This visual aid is essential for accurately interpreting the information and making informed decisions based on the transparency metrics provided. Shopping.
We are ready with 7,000 Tranetti.
Exactly. 2,500 out of 7,300 net. And we still need to optimize the process. However,
It's already a good result. We're practically talking about almost a rows of 4. So we can say that we put in €1 and get 4 out, which is a good result. It can certainly be improved even more. And we will continue step by step. Absolutely. Because of course, this is another aspect of the journey. Cristian and Hector have reached their goal, but it's not like it's goodbye and thank you, it's over. The Telegram support group remains available in case Hector and Cristian have doubts and need a quick call or an extra call or to look at something together. We are always available because we want to create people who can stand on their own, and we are pleased to do so. my greatest satisfaction is indeed seeing the kids, my kids, who might come here discouraged from other paths, and then seeing them flourish like this is the greatest satisfaction for me. So it's tremendous. Well, I wanted to ask you an uncomfortable question that I like to ask my students, right? I like to get them to commit, in quotes, live, and then do a check. So the objectives. What goals are you setting for yourselves?
So the first goal is to learn to become increasingly skilled with the hats. So I'm not telling you to make 100K, no. My first goal is to learn how to manage and optimize hats and stabilize at this monthly figure and reach double digits by December. Absolutely. However, you need to create stability at the beginning, because just going up quickly and then down is not the way. You need to replicate what has been done on many projects, on various well thought out projects, and learn how to navigate ads well to reach double digits.
By December, but not necessarily by then. I am sure you will do it much sooner. Much, much, much sooner. I am sure of it. I need to do some good planning now, because obviously, you know, when talking to people, they sometimes forget that this is a business and that books are being sold. But on the other hand, there are people who buy them. There is a market. Like if I reached 20K, that's it. It was always 20K. You need to organize a plan, because obviously, since there are people buying on the other side, their interests will change, even simply depending on the season we are in. The interests people have in June are not the same as those they have in January. A good schedule. We will continue to work on the ad side. Now, let's give a little spoiler. Above all, spoiler. In 10 days, updates for the ads will be released. 30 update lessons. And you will have fun.
Okay.
Absolutely, we can't wait.
Great. So would you recommend this path?
Absolutely, undoubtedly, woe to those who don't do it. Because if you definitely and certainly want to change in this journey, there is so much to do here.
Absolutely. Very concrete. That's exactly the shift. It's a change of pace. Concrete. You start to understand what self-publishing is, what this business is. Without long speeches, without complexities that aren't there. In the end, you have to create a product that the market wants. And so you learn how to make it and how to direct it so that the customer absolutely chooses you.
But then above all, your goal arrives. I mean, then we can, fantastic course, concrete strategies. Everything is wonderful because it is so. But then also from a financial perspective, you manage to reach your goals as you work. You achieve the objective, whatever goal you set for yourself. You reach it, and that's a fact. That's how it is. The facts tell me, tell Hector, the facts have said this. Without looking, I want to do 10, 11, 12. I want to sell, and then you get there. It's mathematics.
Then the important thing is to develop the skill. That is, if you say, okay, I've done 7, you think in reverse. What was needed to do these 7? So what other keywords do I need to find? How should I proceed? What other books do I need to make to reach a net total of 20? Obviously, if it's a course with ups and downs, it's not like that. But at least you have the understanding. This is where you truly click. When you achieve the result, you say, okay, I can do 3, I can do 10, 20, 30.
Exactly.
And we have reached people in the group who have managed to net 40 in a month.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Significant figures. Absolutely. Okay, go. Well,
Great, guys. I don't know if you want to say something otherwise. I apologize to Giuseppe because I bombarded him with so many messages. I almost stalked him. Great, Giuseppe. So much patience, because truly at any hour of the day, even on December 24th, he would have been there for us. I thank him for the infinite patience he had with us.
Yes, yes, no. Also because then he messages you. He has studied a methodology, and if you write to him in a certain way, he actually responds in a very short time. And one day he made fun of him because Cristian would always write to him saying urgent, 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 as if there could be something that is less urgent. But this is to say that you are also focused on giving a response to your student who asks you for information. So absolutely.
Above all, I thank Richard and Giuseppe for this fantastic journey, for introducing us to this amazing methodology. So thank you both.
Recommended to everyone, absolutely. To those who want to do, recommended to those who want to do.
To those who want to do, yes. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much for your attention and for your anzipet, let's say your contribution. Great.
Okay, contribution.
Hello,